Hello to everyone. My name is Sandeep. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Information Technology of MLR Institute of Technology. Today we are going to discuss input statements. Previously we discussed about what? Output statements. So what is the output statements are providing by the Python programming language means print function. So in the print function we discuss a lot of various formats or lot of formats, that is passing that strings and passing that object, passing that variable list. So and also we are going to use the attributes, that is separator attribute and end attribute. So that end attribute is used to continue the output in the same line. So these are all the things we discussed about that output statements. Similarly, today we are going to discuss what is the input statements and what are the input statements are providing by the Python programming language, right? So first, what is the input statements? So as we discussed in previous discussion, what is the purpose of the computer means? The purpose of the computer is process the data and return the result and return the output. But to process the data, as a user, we have to give the input to the computer. To process the data by the computer, as a user, we have to give the input to the computer. Then how can we give the input? By using Python programming language, means by using input function. Okay, by using input function. That means Python provides the input function. So here, what is this input function? That input function takes a value from the keyboard and returns it as a string. That means whatever you enter the value from the keyboard, that value will be accepted as a string and returns it as a string, right? So let me run this example. See, how can we provide an input to the applications or Python applications, or how can we provide an input using what? Python programming language, means using input function. So let me see, right? Input function and then print A. Now see, what is the output of this program? Let me run this program. See what happened. Now if I entered any value, then it will be print. For example, MLR 80, and I am going to click on enter. What it will be happen? It is printed. What it is? It gives the output, that is MLR 80. So from keyboard I entered that value, that is MLR 80, as an input. For example, within this input function, like this one, you can also give enter the value. Now see what happened. Enter the value, that is MLR 80, and then print MLR 80. It is printed. So in this way we can give the values as an input to the program using input function. But here one thing is, whatever the value is accepted by the input function, and it returns the value in a string format only, in a string type only. For example, so once again I will run this program. Now I enter the 10, that is actually the 10 is what? Integer value, but that input function returns the 10 value as a string type. So that is the about input function. Okay, now see. Yes, for example, if you want to enter the int values, then use int function before the input function. For example, if you want to write a program entering the int values, or enter the values and return that values as an integer, then use what? Int function. Okay, then use what? Int function, right? Now see, for example, a equals to int of input function. Okay, now enter the value, right? Now print A and then print. Now for the proof purpose, so I'm going to check the data type of A. Okay, now see, let me run this program. So right, yeah, here I did not close one more parenthesis. Now enter the value 10, right? So it is 10, and then data type is also integer. But by default, what is the input function returns? String value. By default, the input function returns the string value. But if you want to convert that values, then use the functions, that is inbuilt functions we have, that is int function, and there may be, that is float function, bool function, string functions, like that one we have. Complex functions also we have, that is we seen in the typecasting. In the typecasting, we have the what functions, which is inbuilt functions to convert from one data type to another data type. Here the input function returns the result as a string, but I want to convert the string into int data type, means then use the int function before the input function, right? For example, let's see here one more function. According to the statement, use the float function before the input function to accept an float number from the keyboard. Before the input function to accept an float number from the keyboard. So if you want to accept what? Float function, sorry, float value, then use what? Float function before the input function. Okay, na? So let me run this, sorry, let me see an example. Right, A equals to float function input of enter the float value, enter the float value. Okay, then print A, and then print type of A, print type of A. Now let me run this program. What happened? So right, so one more parenthesis, so that's why it's error. I close this one. Next, see, enter value, for example 10.234. What happened? So it is printed 10.234 and the data type is what? 10.234. So like that one, if you want to convert the string values into the some other data type values, then use what? That particular data type functions, right? So here, if you want to accept a single character from keyboard, yes, you can enter the single character also, there is no problem. For example, let me see an example here. Okay, A equals to, right, input function enter the character, enter the character. Now print A, and we have to check type of A. So to represent the characters, which data type we have in Python? str only, that is string type only. Yes or no? Now see, I save this program. I'm going to run this one. Right? For example, A. What happened? It is A, and also the character is A, and it shows the data type, that is string data type. Okay, so this is about what? Character values, how the character values are going to accept by the input function. So by default, that character values represented using string data type. Yes, there is one function, that is eval function. That eval function takes a string and evaluates the result of the string by taking it as a Python expression. So let me see an example. For example, A equals to 4 and B equals to what? 2. Now print eval function, okay na, A plus B minus 1. Now see, first we'll see the result and then we'll discuss. So here A plus B. Okay, now see, eval function, okay, A plus B. and I am going to assign the result A, right? So sorry, or some ch. See, whenever you given that expression, actually here it is like an expression. It is like an expression, but that eval function accept that expression as a string, okay, as a string, and evaluates the result of that string. Whenever you given an expression to the eval function, that expression has to be what? A string. That eval function converts that expression as a string and evaluate that result. So that is the eval function, right? So this is about what? Eval function. Next, very important, an example. Let me write an example. For example, A equals to, we are going to write a Python program for adding purpose, right? A equals to int of input function, enter the value 1. Enter the value 1. Next, B equals to int of input of, right? Enter the value 2. Now, so print A plus B. Directly I am going to adding the two numbers, right? Now see. So I did not close one more parenthesis. That's why it is getting error. Right? Now see. So 10 and then 20. So 10 plus 20, 30. So like that one, we can add that elements which is given by the user as an input. So that is what input functions, right? So that is what input function. So previously we discussed about what? Input function, output statements, and now we are discussing input statements. So output statements is what? Print function, and input statements is what? Input function. By using output statements, the result we are going to access, and by using input functions, we are going to give the input to the Python program, right? So that is about what? Input statements and output statements, right? So in next class in next discussion we are going to discuss about that operators concept. Thank you.